True transformation demands a real break, a clean cut, a courageous act that separates, with certainty, who you were from who you're ready to become. Changing your life isn't just about wanting it. It's not about planning. It's about letting go, about detaching, about looking straight at everything that already served its purpose, and having the strength to say, "Thank you, but I'm moving forward without you." Deciding to change is, yes, a brave step, but it's far from enough. Because the decision, no matter how powerful it seems, is still abstract. It must be confirmed by a concrete action, and that action demands a non-negotiable move: to cut. Cut everything that still ties you to the old version of yourself, without hesitation, without delay, without numbing what needs to be felt so it can finally be released. That includes habits that weaken you, environments that keep you stagnant, people who no longer walk beside you, thoughts that, although silent, still pull you back to a place you've already decided not to live in anymore. It's hard to admit, but you won't reach a new destination dragging yesterday's baggage. And the first attitude in this journey of liberation isn't to change everything at once. It's to face the truth, look at it without excuses, sit down, be quiet, grab a pen, and write, without filters, without sugarcoating, without pretending to be strong. Write it all down. What's draining your energy? What behaviors are silently sabotaging your progress? What voices are still echoing in your head, day after day, even though you know they don't serve you? Make the list. Face it. Name your chains, because you can only cut what you have the courage to identify. And after you see it, after you recognize it, comes the hardest part: to cut. This is where most people back out. This is where hesitation takes over, because cutting hurts. But what hurts more is continuing to nourish what's already dead. This is the dividing line between those who only talk about change and those who actually live it. And no, it's not about cutting in anger or out of resentment. Cutting with awareness is different. It's choosing to move forward without carrying what no longer belongs. It's saying enough without shouting. It's saying no more without destruction. When you choose to free yourself from what's been destroying you, it may sting at first, but the peace that comes afterward is priceless. Is there a habit that's holding you back? Cut it now. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for next month. Don't wait for the so-called perfect moment that never arrives. If it's a constant distraction, like social media draining your focus, delete it. If it's an automatic behavior sabotaging your days, create an obstacle. If it's a diet that's weakening your body, remove those items from your house immediately. You don't need to think twice about eliminating what's been hurting you for far too long. But what if what's holding you back is a person? That's usually the hardest part, but also the most liberating. There are relationships that don't push you. They hold you down. People who don't encourage you. They drain you. Those who don't grow with you, but get angry when you try to grow. And in those moments, you don't need to create drama. You don't need to cut anyone out aggressively. You simply need one thing: boundaries. Because emotional freedom doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from positioning. You decide who gets access to your energy. Reduce the space for those who don't respect you. Limit the presence of those who only bring weight. Protect your peace, without guilt. But not all chains are external. Some of them live inside your head, and the most dangerous ones are made of thoughts. They don't shout, they whisper. They say things like, "I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. Nothing ever works out for me." And over time, these phrases turn into your identity. Not because they're true, but because you've repeated them so many times. They've become part of you. These thoughts are not innocent. They're silent saboteurs, and they must be cut with the same clarity and strength you use to walk away from people and habits. Every time a destructive thought surfaces, challenge it. Don't accept it as a given truth. Ask yourself, is this a fact or just an old story I've been repeating? Then immediately replace it with a strengthening truth. I can't change becomes, I am changing now. I always fail becomes, I'm learning with every step. Your mind needs to be retrained. And that only happens when you stop accepting lies as your identity. Here's a practical technique. Every time you catch yourself thinking something negative about yourself, say the opposite out loud. Not in your head, out loud. Because the sound of your own voice retrains your brain. At first, it'll feel awkward, maybe even ridiculous. But do it anyway. With repetition, your brain begins to understand that old version no longer runs the show. And the more you repeat, the more natural it becomes. Every thought you cut creates space for your new identity to grow. Every time you let go of something that no longer fits your current phase, you move forward. Your energy flows again. Your mind becomes clear. You begin to feel deep inside that yes, you're finally on the right path. But that only happens when you have the courage to let go of what's already expired. Is it hard? Yes, but it's far lighter than continuing to carry what's been keeping you from growing. Holding on to what destroys you is self-sabotage. Cutting what weakens you is self-love. So look around, look within, and cut, even if it hurts, even if it scares you, even if you don't feel ready. Because what leaves may be loud on its way out, but what enters after that brings silence, brings strength, and brings freedom. You want to change your life? Then start by changing the territory where your new life is supposed to grow. Because the environment you live in is not neutral. It shapes you. It influences you. It pulls you either forward or backward. And this happens silently, subtly, every single day. The way your bedroom is arranged, the clutter on your desk, the atmosphere of your home, all of it sends messages to your subconscious. Messages that often whisper the exact opposite of what you're trying to build. That's why, if you truly want to change, it's not enough to make an inner decision. You have to align your external world with your new purpose. You can't try to be a new person in a space that constantly pulls you back into the old one. That's where many people get stuck. They want discipline, but their environment screams disorder. They want clarity, but everything around them is noise. They want focus, but they're surrounded by distractions. And then they feel frustrated. They blame themselves. They believe they lack willpower. But it's not a willpower issue. It's a structural one. Because environment creates behavior, and repeated behavior becomes identity. So start by cleaning, but not like someone doing regular housework. Clean with intention. Make it a symbolic ritual of separation. Grab a trash bag, look around, and begin to get rid of everything that no longer represents the person you're becoming. No guilt, no sentimentality, no excuses. Donate, throw away, recycle, let go. Sometimes it's just an old object, a dusty piece of paper, a piece of clothing that holds painful memories, a photo that still echoes a past you've already outgrown. You may not realize it, but those things are there, quietly reminding you of who you used to be, of a chapter that's already closed. And how are you supposed to move forward if you're surrounded by signs of what no longer exists? So clear it all out. And as you do, you'll feel something shift inside. Your mind will feel lighter, your energy will start to move, and your body will finally breathe. Because outer organization triggers inner reorganization. It's real, it's biological, it's psychological, it's spiritual. Cleaning your space opens a window for your soul to breathe again. Then, rearrange intentionally. You don't need to buy new furniture. You don't need to do a full renovation. You just need intention. Move your desk to a new spot. Change your phone's wallpaper. Put a powerful quote on your mirror. Place small objects that symbolize this new version of yourself. These small changes become visual anchors, subtle reminders to your brain. They say, something new is happening here, and this has impact, because your brain is wired to respond to what it sees every day. If your space screams chaos, your mind normalizes chaos. If your space communicates clarity, your mind learns to focus. Here are a few practical suggestions. Rearrange your workspace. It can instantly shift your sense of control. Post an inspiring quote somewhere visible. It doesn't need to be pretty, just honest. Create a distraction-free zone, a clean, quiet, minimal space to think and breathe. Add symbols that reflect your new beginning. A new plant, a candle, a meaningful object. Remove triggers, junk food, social media apps, clutter that activates bad habits. Don't underestimate the details. They're not small, they're powerful. Your environment reflects your mind, but it also shapes it. And when you change your space with intention, you send a clear signal to your subconscious. I've changed. And that message reinforces your new identity. Your space must also be functional. It should make the habits you want to build easier. Want to read more? Leave books within reach. Want to meditate? Set up a quiet, consistent corner. Want to eat healthier? Keep nutritious food in plain sight. Want to create more? Keep your tools where you can see them. When the structure supports you, the behavior follows naturally. Here's a practical invitation. Look around, choose one object that no longer represents who you are, and remove it today. Then, do something symbolic to replace it. Change your sheets, move a chair, light a candle, reorganize your desk. But whatever you do, do it with presence. This gesture may seem insignificant, but it's the first brick in a new foundation. And when your environment starts to speak the language of your new identity, change stops being a concept and becomes a lived experience. Every true transformation needs to be marked. It needs a symbol, a turning point, a clear moment you can look back on and say, that was the day everything changed. Because without a mark, without a symbolic break between the old and the new, change remains loose, invisible, abstract. You can make all the decisions you want in silence, but until they're expressed in some real, visible way, your mind keeps functioning in wait mode. That's why you need a rite. Yes, a rite of passage. And no, this isn't mysticism. It's psychology. It's emotional language. It's neuroscience applied to real-life change. Since ancient times, cultures across the world have created rituals to mark the end of a cycle and the beginning of another. Birth, coming of age, marriage, grief, healing, starting over. All of these have always been accompanied by symbols, because the human brain needs something physical, something tangible, to understand. From this moment on, things are different. And when you ignore this, when you try to change without leaving any trace, your subconscious continues operating as if nothing really happened. So, create your right, something that clearly signals the end of your old self and the birth of something new. And it doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be real. One of the most powerful things you can do today is write a letter. But not just any letter. Write a letter to your future self. Visualize that version of you clearly. And write as if you're already living that new reality. Who are you becoming? How do you think? How do you act? What habits have you left behind? What victories have you already claimed? Describe it all, in detail, with emotion, with honesty. This letter will be your silent contract, a sacred pact between who you are today and who you are committed to becoming. And when you finish it, seal it. Put it in an envelope. Keep it somewhere meaningful. Choose a future date to reopen it. 6 months, 1 year, your choice. And every time you doubt yourself, remember, that letter is already written. The vision is already cast. The path is already chosen. All you need to do now is walk it. Another deeply symbolic rite is purification. Water, across nearly every culture, represents rebirth. And that's no coincidence. Water cleanses, it releases, it renews, and you can turn a simple shower into a sacred ritual of transition, not just a regular shower. but a moment of presence, a ceremony between you and yourself. As the water flows over your skin, set your intention. I am washing away what no longer represents me. I am releasing the pain. I am shedding the weight. I am stepping into something new. And when you step out, dress with awareness. As someone who has just been reborn, if you want to go even deeper, find a physical object that symbolizes your old identity. It could be a piece of clothing, a photo, an old journal, a gift from a painful time. And then, let it go. Throw it out. Donate it. Burn it if needed. But do it consciously. Turn it into a dividing line. Because when you eliminate something physically tied to the past, you're telling your subconscious, this doesn't belong to me anymore. And that act has real power. Not because the object is magical, but because the gesture is meaningful. It speaks in a language your mind deeply understands. It creates a point of no return. This is the mistake many people make. They try to change in total silence. But the brain keeps waiting for a clear signal. The page may turn, but it was never written. You only turn the page for real when you mark the transition with action. When you declare, through gesture, this is a new story now. A rite of passage also brings purpose. It brings presence. It gives weight to your choice. And that changes everything. You stop trying to change and start living as someone who already has. So think about it now. What will be your rite? Will you write the letter? Take a shower with sacred intention? Discard something symbolic? Light a candle and declare a new beginning? It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be big. But it has to be real. It has to matter to you. Because when it does, that gesture becomes the moment you remember for the rest of your life. The moment you say, that's when it all began. That night, that decision, that moment. There's a specific moment in the day when your mind is more open, more vulnerable, and more impressionable than any other. And that moment happens right before you fall asleep. It's in that space, between physical fatigue and surrendering to rest, that your conscious mind starts to quiet down and your subconscious steps forward. And everything you think, feel, or consume during those final moments before sleep has a direct impact on how you'll wake up, how you'll feel, how you'll live the next day. This is when true transformation can begin, but most people don't see it. They fall asleep with cluttered minds, overflowing with random thoughts, unresolved conversations, leftover tension from the day. And by doing so, night after night, they unknowingly feed the very version of themselves they're trying to leave behind. They think going to bed is just rest. But sleep is not just rest. Sleep is programming. And if you want real change, you must begin to treat the final minutes of your day as something sacred, a silent but powerful ritual, a personal ceremony of mental and emotional reprogramming. Because what you plant before sleep grows while you dream. And there are simple, yet deeply powerful ways to use this moment with intention. The first is to feed your mind something uplifting. Read something that elevates your energy. Not just anything, something meaningful. A sentence from a book that inspires you. A journal entry from a powerful moment in your life. A quote that speaks directly to the version of yourself you're building. But don't read just to pass the time. Read like you're planting a seed. Read like you're watering your soul. Like you're choosing what will bloom in you when the sun rises. Another powerful practice. Affirmations. Simple, direct, spoken out loud, with presence. Tell yourself, tomorrow, I act as my highest self. I am strong, focused, and ready. My transformation is already unfolding. Don't just think it, say it. Because the sound of your own voice carries a unique frequency. And when your brain hears that sound again and again, spoken with conviction, it starts to believe it. Even if it feels fake at first. Even if something inside resists. Keep going. Because repetition is how beliefs are formed. And what starts as awkward soon becomes familiar. And what's familiar becomes part of who you are. Now, if you want to take it even further, visualize, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and see yourself living the life you've chosen. See how you move, how you make decisions, how you speak, how you handle challenges, how you carry yourself. See it vividly, in full detail, with emotion. Don't just imagine the outcome, feel it. Because the brain doesn't distinguish between reality and powerful imagination, it just responds to the emotion attached to the image. And when you do this every night, you begin to create a new mental map, a new internal destination, a picture your brain and body will instinctively move toward. But here's the key: protect your mental space. What you let in during these final moments matters. It lingers. It echoes. It influences your dreams, your clarity, even your emotional state the next morning. So no falling asleep to the news, no scrolling through social media filled with chaos, no content that floods you with fear, anger, or anxiety. You don't have control over everything happening in the world, but you absolutely control what you allow into your mind before you rest. Your mind is always under construction, and what you do before sleep is like placing the cornerstone for the next day. If you go to bed heavy, filled with guilt, noise, frustration, you wake up in that same energy. But if you go to bed with intention, gratitude, and presence, you wake up aligned. And that alignment, it doesn't just make the next morning better. It starts reshaping your entire life. This process is quiet. It doesn't demand attention, but it's consistent. And consistency changes everything. Over time, you'll notice you wake up clearer, calmer, more grounded, more decisive, and it won't be luck. It won't be magic. It will be the result of a simple habit that most people ignore. But that rewires everything, reprogramming your mind before you sleep. So from now on, treat those last minutes before bed as a sacred meeting with your future self. If you can, write something down. If you have energy, speak your intentions out loud. And if all you can manage is one powerful thought, then plant that thought like a seed. You don't have to do it perfectly. Just do it consistently. And do it with truth. Because when the world sleeps, your transformation awakens. There's a moment, right at the beginning of the day, that sets the tone for everything. A small window, often overlooked, yet loaded with disproportionate power. That moment is your first hour of the morning. That's when you decide, will I repeat yesterday or create today? Will I follow the same old script or write a new one? And here's the truth. When you wake up and do exactly what you've always done, your brain gets a very specific message. Nothing has changed. And everything you decided the night before dissolves into routine. Your intention fades. Your energy drops. And autopilot takes over. So if you truly want lasting transformation, you must do something simple but powerful. Break the pattern. Interrupt the cycle. Take control of the first moment. Say it through action, not just words. Today is different because I'm different. As soon as your alarm goes off, get up. No bargaining, no negotiations with your mind. No, just 5 more minutes. That small gesture may seem insignificant, but it carries massive symbolic weight. It means you're in charge now. You don't delay your decisions. You don't submit to your past programming. You act with strength from the very first second. And that choice has power. Because one small act of discipline leads to another. One intentional moment creates a ripple. One new action shifts the direction of the entire day. That's what behavioral experts call the domino effect. A single intentional move triggers momentum. So once you're up, take another powerful step. Begin your day with intention. Before checking your phone, before answering texts, before letting the world rush in, pause, take a deep breath, feel the stillness, and list 3 things you're grateful for. Gratitude may seem simple, maybe even cliché, but when practiced mindfully, it rewires your perception. Your brain, by default, searches for problems, but when you consciously focus on what's working, you shift the lens. You move from pressure to presence, from tension to truth, from lack to abundance. And now comes the game changer. Do something different. Break the script, even in the smallest way. Wake up 10 minutes earlier. Sit somewhere new for breakfast. Take a walk while listening to something that elevates you. Switch the order of your tasks. Choose a new playlist. Open the window. Let in fresh air. The what doesn't matter. What matters is that it's new. Because your brain craves novelty. It's a signal that something meaningful is happening. And when you give your mind a new code, it responds. We're in a new chapter now. These small pattern interruptions begin to reshape your identity. And over time, your new self becomes stronger than your old habits. Another essential point: protect your mental space. Don't feed your mind with noise the moment you open your eyes. Don't dive into toxic timelines. Don't absorb other people's chaos before anchoring yourself first. Connect with yourself before connecting with the outside world. Choose your first inputs wisely. Give your mind something nourishing. A quote, a prayer, a book, a deep breath, a stretch, a song that lifts your energy. Whatever you choose, make sure it elevates you. And if you can, move your body. Not because of pressure, but because movement is medicine. Stretch, walk, breathe deeply. Wake up your nervous system with intention. Because when the body activates, so does clarity, energy, and presence. At the core of it all, your first hour isn't just about habits, it's about identity. Every small choice you make in the morning reinforces one thing: who you believe you are. And if you're becoming your best version, you need to behave like them. From minute one, waking up with intention is a declaration. It says, I'm no longer who I was. It separates you from the past and aligns you with what's coming. So tomorrow, when the sun rises, remember, change doesn't begin when the world sees it. Change begins when you act like it's already happened. There's a quiet mistake that keeps countless people stuck. They wait to feel different before they act differently. They wait to feel confident before making bold decisions. They wait for motivation before building a new habit. They wait for their external world to shift before changing their internal world. But real life doesn't work like that. It's not emotion that comes first. It's action. You don't start changing because you feel ready. You start changing even when you feel uncertain, even when you feel unprepared, even when fear is still whispering in your ear, because the feeling aligns after the movement. True transformation doesn't happen when everything is in place. It begins when you start acting as if the change already happened. You want to be a new person? Then act like that version of you. Now, not tomorrow. Not after another book or another video. Now, because identity is not discovered, it's built. And the brain learns through repetition. You don't become your best self by talking about it. You become them by taking actions that match that version, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. So from today on, live as if the switch has already flipped. Want to be more confident? Walk like someone who believes in themselves. Speak with clarity, even when you feel doubt. Want to be more disciplined? Make small, consistent decisions, even when no one is watching. Want to be successful? Ask yourself, in every situation, what would a successful person do right now? And do it, even if it feels awkward, even if you feel like you're faking it, even if you're not there yet, because that's exactly where transformation begins. This is called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to create new patterns through repeated behavior. Every time you act like your highest self, you strengthen that identity inside you. And over time, it stops being effort and becomes natural. You stop pretending. You start embodying. But here's the catch. You have to watch the details. How do you behave when no one's around? What kind of conversations do you have with yourself throughout the day? Do you speak with self-respect? Or are you still stuck in self-doubt, guilt, and harsh self-talk? Real change begins in your internal voice. It doesn't matter what you're showing the world. If deep down you're still repeating, "I never get it right. I'm just like this. Something's always wrong with me," those aren't just thoughts. They're instructions. They're mental codes shaping your reality. And if you keep speaking the language of your past self, you'll keep reliving the same cycles. So, change the script. "I never get it right" becomes "I'm learning how to win." "I'm just like this" becomes "I'm in construction and I'm leading my own growth." "I always fail" becomes "Every step teaches me how to rise." Because your internal dialogue is the foundation of your new identity. Without it, no change can hold. Now, pay attention to your body, your posture, your presence, your tone of voice. It's not just the world watching, you are watching yourself. If you walk slouched, head down, voice fading, your brain registers, "We're still stuck." But if you stand taller, lift your chin, breathe deeply, and speak with power, your entire system hears, "I've changed. This is who I am now." And whenever you're faced with a decision, big or small, ask, "What would the upgraded version of me choose right now?" And do that. If the answer feels scary, good. That means you're leaving the comfort zone. That means your new identity is stretching, growing, expanding. Over time, this won't feel like a performance. It will become your default mode. You'll notice the inner critic getting quieter, your habits aligning with your goals, people treating you differently, not because they changed, but because you changed the way you carry yourself. Change isn't something you wait for. It's something you live. And the shortcut, the most direct path to real transformation, is to act like the change has already happened. Because that "as if" soon becomes your "as is." Can your life really change overnight? Yes, but not in the way you might think. It's not magic. It's not a sudden miracle where everything around you transforms in an instant. It's more subtle than that, more internal, more powerful. Change happens in the exact moment you say, with total conviction, "I am no longer who I used to be, and I'm not going back." That's when everything begins. Not on the outside, not in your circumstances, but inside of you. Because what truly changes your life is not how much time passes, it's how firmly you decide. It's that quiet, unshakable moment when you look at yourself honestly, and you see everything that no longer fits, everything that must be released, everything that has already expired. And more than just recognizing it, you take action. Not when you feel 100% ready, not when everything feels aligned, not when someone gives you permission. You act. Because you finally understand that change doesn't begin with anyone else. It begins when you stop negotiating with your past and start committing to your future. Yes, maybe you've read books, watched hours of content, started over more times than you can count. But there's one thing that makes all the difference. The moment when you stop consuming transformation and start embodying it. And that begins with a choice. A firm choice. A clear one. A non-negotiable one. A choice that says, "From this moment on, I move as if the change already happened." That choice doesn't require you to know the whole path. It only asks you to take the next step, then the next, and another, until suddenly you're standing in a place you once only imagined. You don't need more time. You need more courage. Courage to let go of what's holding you down. Courage to create space for the new. Courage to treat yourself as someone who is already becoming. Because there is no real freedom while you're still tied to outdated versions of yourself. And there's no peace while your mind clings to weights that no longer belong to the person you're becoming. You're not here by accident. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you is already shifting. Something has awakened. Something is done waiting. Something within has already decided that the past no longer has the right to lead your life. And now, it's your move. Will you let this fire inside fade out? Or will you feed it until it becomes a flame strong enough to light your path forward? You don't have to change everything at once, but you must stop doing what you've always done. Cut, clean, ritualize. Plant new thoughts at night. Wake up with intention. Move like someone who's already changed. And above all, live every day as if your new identity is already in motion. Because it is. You're not at the beginning anymore. You're already in the process. And the process demands strength, consistency, grace, and faith. Faith in the seed you've planted. Faith in the version of you that you've chosen. Faith in the journey you've begun, even if the results haven't shown up yet. And one day, not too far from now, you'll look back and realize it started there. That night, you stopped waiting. That hour, you refused to go backward. That morning, you moved differently, even with fear. That exact moment when you said, "This isn't just something I want anymore. It's who I've become." And if this message reached you deeply, if something stirred inside you, then write in the comments, "Gratitude." That tells me you made it to the end, that you stayed present, that you're serious about your journey. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Your support allows us to keep creating content like this, the kind of content that might just be what someone else needs to wake up to. Right here, you'll find videos filled with stoic wisdom, emotional healing tools, and deep self-transformation. So, don't stop here. Keep going. You're not alone. May the Creator guide you. May the light that's awakening in you never fade. And may your new identity be nurtured each day, with intention, with truth, and with courage. Because in the end, every great change begins within, and it begins now.